Much of the original Misfits catalog wasn't released until after their breakup in 1983. They had a whole slew of recordings dating back to 1977, some of which would be released as singles and EPs. Other recordings would get included in compilations over time. Of course, there were also the albums, Walk Among Us and Earth AD/Wolf's Blood. Since it took so long for everything to get released, bootlegs were rampant even in the 1980s. Whatever compilation came out, there was still more that needed unearthing. Unearth ADing, that is. Fans rejoiced when a box set was put together in 1996. This box set had every compilation, the Evil Live album, singles, demos, Earth AD, and some unreleased stuff. It was missing Walk Among Us because of copyright reasons, but the trade-off was that a significant amount of 2 aborted Misfits albums were present. These albums were Static Age and 12 Hits from Hell. In 1978, Mercury Records offered 30 hours of studio time in exchange for Danzig's blank records name. The lineup at the time consisted of Danzig on vocals, Jerry on bass, Mr. Jim on drums, and Franche Coma on guitar. 17 songs were recorded for what would be called Static Age. Fan favorites like Last Caress, Attitude, We Are 138, and Teenagers from Mars are there. Static Age was sent to different labels, only to be turned down. Nobody wanted to sign the Misfits, and so the album was shelved. Before the box set, many songs from Static Age did come out in some form or another. There was the Bullet single, there was the Beware EP, then there were the 2 collection albums, and then there were overdubbed and remixed versions on Legacy of Brutality. But the box set presented Static Age for the first time in one piece, unaltered, and with the right track order. It was even on its own disc. They knew it was special. So here it was, Static Age the way it was supposed to be. Or was it? Nope. All that effort and they still didn't get it right. It was missing 3 songs: She, Spinal Remains, and In the Doorway. The band ran out of studio time in the original sessions, so those songs didn't get properly mixed. When the album got a standalone release, they included the missing songs and remastered every song for continuity's sake. Better late than never. On to 12 Hits from Hell. Going into New York's Master Sound Productions in August 1980, Static Age's songs were left behind. Songs like Skulls, Vampira, and Where Eagles Dare were committed to tape. This time, Arthur Googie was the drummer, Bobby Steele played guitar, and Jerry's brother Doyle was brought in for guitars late into the recording. Producer Robbie Alter even played a little guitar for London Dungeon and Violent World. Doyle ended up replacing Bobby as the band's guitarist after the album was recorded, and Doyle's guitars dominated the mix. 12 Hits ended up not being released as a full-length album, but like Static Age, some of the songs did get released, most notably on 3 Hits from Hell. The recordings were used to shop for labels, and eventually they got signed to Slash imprint Ruby Records. Walk Among Us was recorded at different studios and released in 1982. Along with some new songs, many of the songs from 12 Hits were re-recorded, such as Night of the Living Dead, I Turned Into a Martian, and Astro Zombies, among others. There was even a live version of
Mommy, can I go on in? Till tonight!
It took 3 tries for the Misfits to put an album out. Static Age didn't come out until 1996, but it was recorded in 1978, so it could technically be considered the first album. Or you could go by release dates and say that Walk Among Us is the first album. Disc 3 of the box set had 7 of the 12 Hits songs in their original mixes. Wouldn't it have made it so much easier if all 12 were there? Between those mixes and the scattered songs on discs 1 and 2, all 12 songs exist in a mangled, unorganized way. In 2001, Caroline Records attempted to release the whole session. All 12 songs were remixed, remastered, given liner notes by Eerie Vaughn, and even included a different take of London Dungeon. With this release, Bobby Steele's guitar is higher in the mix, equal to Doyle's. Promo copies were sent to journalists, label copies were passed around, and thousands of CDs were sent to stores. Then, at the 11th hour, it was canceled. Danzig and Jerry didn't like the packaging or the mix. They both felt the Misfits shouldn't be portrayed as a 5-piece band with 2 guitarists. It's an interesting statement considering many Misfits songs had multi-tracked and overdubbed guitars. Some were able to get a copy if they pre-ordered the album or were able to get to the stores in time, but thousands of copies were sent back to the label and destroyed. Caroline said they would fix whatever Danzig and Jerry didn't like about the album and release it later, but it never happened. Instead, it sparked a feud with Bobby against Danzig and Jerry while the album was bootlegged to death. Reasons for Bobby's firing had been rumored to be because Jerry wanted his brother in the band, or Bobby's lack of dedication to the band, or because the band thought Bobby's guitar playing wasn't good enough.
And then we eventually kicked out Bobby because he wasn't showing up at rehearsals or studio sessions. And he was just saying, well, have Doyle play my guitar for me. We just said, this is bullshit. Let's just get Doyle and kick him out.
Danzig accused Bobby of re-recording stuff for the album, to which Bobby responded, Glenn and Jerry have constantly told people that I was fired for playing poorly on the original 12-hit session, and the real reason they don't want it out is because it exposes that lie. Bobby retaliated by covering the entire album with his band, The Undead, and streaming it on their website. Regardless of the complicated release histories, these albums have cemented the Misfits' legacy. More t-shirts have been sold than the albums themselves. Ask any Misfits fan what their favorite album is, and they'll give you different answers for different reasons. We could talk about the rest of their catalog, but I only wanted to cover the groundbreaking early work. From the raw intensity of Static Age, to the tightness of 12 Hits from Hell, to the iconic status of Walk Among Us. These are 3 albums from hell. Grind on.